Have you heard the one about the Jan6 defendant that made and threw a homemade bomb at 25 cops and law enforcement on Jan6, charged with 12 different felonies, who got released on a pardon by Donald Trump, and then a day later, the Trump Department of Justice picked him up on a bench warrant because he's a felon possessing a gun because of other felonies he committed before Jan 6. This is what happens when Donald Trump used the F-it process and just waves a magic wand without doing any vetting and just decides to pardon all 1,600 of the Jan 6 defendants without reference to whether they committed violent acts against law enforcement. I'm Michael Popok. You are on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. Let's get to it. Daniel Charles Ball, Homosassa, Florida. Bad dude. That's not me making a moral judgment. I'm observing his long rap sheet. He had 3 prior felonies before Jan 6, including, what else? Resisting arrest and assault on police officers and domestic violence and the rest that went along with that. That's the reason he's a felon that can't have a gun even in Florida. Fast forward to Jan 6. This delightful asset to society decides that he's not only going to go to Jan 6, but as alleged in his indictment, he's going to fashion a bomb and use it at the Western Tunnel, which was the scene of the most pitched medieval battle of them all for the soul of democracy. You know, if you or I made a bomb, I mean, that's enough, by the way, and then decided to take that bomb and throw it at law enforcement, I'm not sure I'd still be on this network or channel. Do you? No. But we now know how people like Daniel Charles Ball, who was so bad that Rudy Contreras, the federal judge, did not even let him out before trial because he's that bad. He's one of the Jan 6 chorus members, if you know what I mean. Okay. So you have this guy. Now, how did we get here? J.D. Vance tells Donald Trump, I'm sorry, I'm so used to talking about Joe, tells Donald Trump, don't do this, boss. This is my artist rendering. Don't release them all. Not the most violent ones, not the ones that attack law enforcement. We're the Republican Party. We're supposed to protect the blue. Remember all those blue American flags? Protect the blue. Yeah, and that's what other Republican senators are saying the same thing. We're supposed to be law and order. How are you going to at least carve out the subset of felons who beat law enforcement? Now, this is the new reporting. Donald Trump got fatigued during the process because he has a very short attention span, okay? And it's getting shorter as he gets older. And that's why they didn't give him the presidential briefings when he was the president the first time. After like a year or two, they stopped giving it to him. They stopped giving him the books. He would doodle in them. He would rip them up. He wouldn't pay anything, wander around. I mean, unless it's a golf game, Diet Coke and McDonald's, he doesn't pay attention. That's why social media is where it's at for him in terms of short attention span, maximum devastation. So he apparently, according to insiders, got frustrated / bored / distracted during the pardon discussion and just waved his hand and said, F it, his words, not mine, F it, pardon them all. That was the thought process of the person that some people, a majority, just voted for president. F it, give them all a pardon, I don't want to sort it out. Okay, which is no surprise because when I saw the actual pardon, we'll put it up here. When I saw the actual pardon, I was struck by the fact that it had no names attached to it, except for about 8 or 9 that were the sentences being commuted for Proud Boys and Oath Keepers. You know, that's a Roger Stone special, by the way. And I was like, isn't there a spreadsheet at least? I predicted there'd be about 1,600 pardons if you go back to my prior hot takes and work here on Legal AF, but I thought there'd at least be a spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet listing all the names. It just says everybody that was in Jan 6. You know, it's like Oprah giving out a car. You get a pardon, and you get a pardon, you get a pardon. And we'll let my Department of Justice sort it out, and the Bureau of Prisons sort it out. I was like, you're not even going to list the names? Now I know why. You know, when he's more concerned with installing the Diet Coke button on the Resolute desk in the White House, not making that up, than he is trying to sift and sort through some sort of moral integrity or intellectual integrity of the list of who he's going to pardon for the violent crimes of trying to destroy democracy. Okay, so that's how this guy Daniel Charles Ball from Homosassa, Florida, with 12 felony indictments, charges against him, gets released from the Jan6er choir and the prison. And then, however, what Trump didn't know, because there was no due diligence done, is that the guy had he was already had a bench warrant out for having a felon, being a felon with a gun. So he got picked back up. He was free for 1 day. Okay, now you got MAGA grandma who's turning down the pardon because she says it would be an affront to law enforcement. I committed crimes. I did bad things. I should not be walking free. She's having her lawyer, Jan6er, decline the pardon. You got that going on. You got Republican senators moving forward and saying, we're the party of law and order. I'm worried about security in the future now. You have all that going on. And then Donald Trump. It's going to be a long 4 years, Trump, at your press conferences. Get ready. Because whatever you want to call it, mainstream media, independent media, whatever you're going to call it, they're coming after him at press conferences. No softballs, no let it slide, no sane washing, no gaslighting, hard-hitting questions like this one posed to Donald Trump right after the pardons and before this guy got picked back up about whether it's ever okay in his mind to assault law enforcement. Let's play the clip.
You would agree that it's never acceptable to assault a police officer,
sure.
Right? So then if I can, among those you pardoned, DJ Rodriguez, he drove a stun gun into the neck of a DC police officer who was abducted by the mob that day. He later confessed on video to the FBI and pleaded guilty for his crimes. Why does he deserve a pardon?
Well, I don't know. Was it a pardon? Because we're looking at commutes and we're looking at pardons. Okay, well, we'll take a look at everything. But I can say this. Murderers today are not even charged. You have murderers that aren't charged all over.
More than 400 of the people that you pardoned, though, assaulted officers. So I want to ask you about the Vice President, J.D. Vance. He said, this is a week ago, he said, if you committed violence on January 6th, obviously you should not be pardoned. Why is your Vice President wrong?
Well, only for one reason. They've served years in jail. They should not have served, and they've served years in jail. And murderers don't even go to jail in this country. And we had 1,500. We have 16 under review. As you know, we commuted about 16 of them because it looks like they could have done things that were not acceptable for a full pardon. But these people have served years of jail, and their lives have been ruined. And in many cases, listen to me for a second. Stop interrupting. They served years in jail, and if you look at the American public is tired of it.
This is their problem. How is it ever okay? And how can he ever look law enforcement in the eye? I mean, the Fraternal Order of Police came out with a statement, we'll put it up here, that says that they are shocked and chagrined and embarrassed by the stolen valor of Donald Trump pardoning those that beat law enforcement. That Metro Police, that Capitol Police, five other law enforcement units that were battling it out against 3,000 whipped up, demented, fomented Jan6ers. I don't even know how they did it. You know, they're going to have to, how that many people, that few people in the law enforcement were able to stop assassinations and blood streaming down the hallways of the Senate and the House. I have no idea. I really don't. Yeah. That's why I'm calling for a Jan6 museum to be built. I think it should be a wing or an annex of Joe Biden's presidential library, like the 9/11 museum, you know, with all of the law enforcement, including those that took their own lives or disabled, you know, up on giant screens, talking about what happened, the Jan6 committee, all of that testimony, the videos, the GoPro videos, the closed circuit TV videos, unedited, running on loops. Yeah. You know, some sort of recreation, you know, what do you call it? Animation to show what happened, Donald Trump's role in it, all the lawsuits against Donald Trump, all the indictments against Donald Trump and others around the country. That should all be housed in a museum dedicated to Jan6 so we never forget. Like the Holocaust, like 9/11, you know, and I'm going to continue to call for that every time I talk about the Jan6 and the pardons. So, you know, Donald Trump, drunk with power here, is doing exactly what we wanted him to do, which is overreach. And by overreaching, it puts the Democrats, progressives, moderates, and fair-minded people in a perfect position to do jujitsu against him and use these acts against him at the midterms and hold MAGA and the GOP accountable. How could law enforcement ever endorse Republicans and Trump ever again? And we got to make them pay. We got to remind them at the polls and run the bastards out on a rail. That's why we're here as a community. That's why we're here on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. I'm glad you're here. I'm curating this channel. We're going to hit 500,000 in the first 5 months of our existence. Not because of me. I'm doing my part here, but because of you. We're humbled by it. We stand on the shoulders of the Midas Touch Network, of Legal AF, the 5-year-old podcast, and now our own channel, Legal AF, the YouTube channel. Take a minute, hit the free subscribe button. It really does matter. It signals to the algorithmic gods and to YouTube, you like this content, you want this content, you need this content. Suddenly I'm breaking into like a few good men. I'm sorry. but I'm here for it, and I'm glad you are too. So I'm Michael Popok, and I'm reporting. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Legal AF YouTube channel. Help us build this pro-democracy channel where I'll be curating the top stories at the intersection of law and politics. Go to YouTube now and free subscribe at Legal AF MTN. That's at Legal AF MTN.